to your content before, and you can hear that you're passionate about the subjects that you report on. Were you always this passionate about sports, and where did your passion for the world of sports come from?
I think that I have been passionate about sports for a very long time, but I also think that just like anybody who has something they want to chase or want to do, there was definitely this moment of, can I do this? Is this something that is reasonable? Is this something that I think can actually happen? So I went through a phase of maybe I could major in business. Maybe I could be a lawyer or something like that, because to me, I felt like it was more realistic. And I just had to get to a point where I said, okay, sports is my passion and talking to people is my passion, and I need to pursue that. And I would say that true and full and complete belief in myself probably didn't come until I went off to college and I realized that what it would be committing to it 100%. Because I love sports, and it's something that I think really makes me feel fulfilled when I can interview an athlete or a coach or whatever it may be, and really have them open up about life outside of their sport, out of their profession. And I think a lot of it comes from just growing up in a family that loves sports. My dad played football. My uncle played baseball. My mom is a humongous sports fan.
Wow.
And so just kind of the growing up in that and having it around me, I think kind of manifested the love for it.
Now, you talked about the love for it. So then how did you get started on your career in the sports industry? Like, where did it start off at?
Yeah, it all started in college when I decided to make a blog, and then that blog kind of got traction, and then I ended up working for multiple different, news outlets and sports outlets when I was in college, Big Ten Network, Fox Sports, and CBS Sports stuff. And that's brought into my first job at the Big Ten Network, and then my second job now at SMY.
At such a young age, you've already accomplished so much in the sports industry. So what do you think is your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal, I think, like many journalists, is to just have my own television show. But I want my show to be based on long-form interviews. I want to have one guest on my show, and it's them sitting down and opening up. I don't want it to be these quick interviews where you're barely connecting with your subject. I want it to be about sitting down and having that candid and free-flowing but really meaningful conversation. So having a show that would be based on that is definitely my end goal.
Now, like I said before, you've accomplished so much. When you look back on it, does everything that you've accomplished seem surreal at times, or is this something that you always knew would eventually come to fruition?
No, I think that it all sometimes does seem very surreal, but I also did think it was going to come to fruition. But yes, and then I step back and I just think, how blessed and how lucky and how thankful I am that I've gotten to this point, and also how much more I have to go. I'm a person that is always looking for the next thing, wondering how I can do better or how I can do, this, how I can improve in that. But I'm working on being able to step back and be in that moment and say, it's great that you're right here, and this is something that you should appreciate and something that you should really be here and be in the now. And when I do that is when I have those moments of this is surreal and I can't believe this is happening. But there really is so much more that I want to do and so much more that I want to accomplish.
You're a reporter in the sports industry during a very interesting time period with anthem protests and athletes starting to use their platform to speak on social issues. As a person of color, how difficult has it been to, quote unquote, walk that tightrope in terms of voicing your opinion on certain issues without putting your job or even your career in jeopardy?
Yeah, I think that I'm lucky to be in a position where I don't really always feel like I'm walking on a tightrope. I think that on our panel show, I'm very open about how I feel. I'm very open in saying that right now we are in a time where race is very prevalent. It's a topic that needs to be discussed, and I think that it's important to have Black voices speaking on this. It's important to have female voices speaking on this. And I don't ever want to feel like I'm compromising myself, because I feel as though I have a responsibility to speak what I feel is my truth and to speak what I feel is my experience and the experience of many other people. So I think that I haven't encountered a time where I felt as though I couldn't speak because it would jeopardize, my position and my job, my career, my money. Luckily, but I do understand that for some people, that is a reality and you have to be careful. But I think that this time that we're in right now is so important and just so vital to kind of progress in a conversation that needs to be had. And I'm just happy that even a little part of me is able to be a part of that much bigger conversation.
Who would you say have been your biggest influences, either in the industry or just anybody who has helped you to get where you are today in general?
Well, my family, of course, my mom and my dad are by far my biggest, supporters. But I also give so much thanks to the people that decided to bet on me and decided to give me a chance, like, Quentin Carter, who hired me at the Big Ten Network. I mean, he decided to hire this 22-year-old right out of college to be on a live show. I mean, there has to be so much trust there, and there has to be somebody that believes in your talent so much. So Quentin Carter is definitely one. I'd say Fletcher Page, who was the person who was overseeing me during my internship in college. He taught me everything. I mean, the experiences I got with him are just, they were vital to what I started doing right when I got out of school, because I was able to see what it was like to cover a team, to follow a team, to right after a press conference, to put together a package, to talk about, stringing together video, all of the basic fundamental things that make people a good journalist and good reporter, I learned throughout that time. So it's really just people that have decided to bet on me. And that's what I always say. Like, I think my career is an accumulation of people believing in me. It's not just something that you do on your own. Nothing is something that you're just doing on your own. So I'm definitely thankful for all those people.
What would you say is the toughest obstacle that you've had to overcome in your career so far?
I would say the toughest obstacle is probably making people take you seriously. I don't think that it's always been that way. There was even times in my first job where I felt like I was just meant to come on the TV like a couple of times, do my hits, and then be done. I didn't feel like I was doing serious work and serious journalism and serious interviews. And that's not like to them. That I think a lot of that burden is on you to prove that it's something that you can do and that you're qualified to do and that you should do. So I think it was just being, like, the biggest obstacle is being able to show people that you are ready for the bigger things. Because, when you are young and also when you are a female, you're always having to overcome both of those things and try to make people see past that. So I would say that's probably the biggest hurdle to kind of jump over.
Now, you are a sports reporter, so I have to throw in one sports question. You're a reporter in New York, and the New York Giants have had Super Bowl aspirations going into this season, and it just hasn't worked out so far. But what was that experience like, covering a team who had such high hopes and then has gone through losing Odell and all their other receivers, 4 receivers in one game, and then fired their general manager and their head coach, and then even benched their starting quarterback? What was that experience like, covering that entire situation in New York?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because even covering camp, a lot of us that was a lot of our storyline, the fact that they went into the Super Bowl and all the players were talking about how they were a great team, this is going to be a special year. And then I was at the game actually in Dallas, their season opener, when they lost. And I think all of us kind of couldn't believe it, not because we were like, oh, they're this great team, but because that was what had been built up. So it was definitely a little weird. But I think, although I think covering a team is easier when they're good, this has been such a learning experience, and it has been honestly fun to cover this, just because there's so many ups and downs, and there's so many storylines and so many things you're trying to figure out well, what? This happened. How this happened? What's going to be next? Who's going to be the next coach? Like, I was really able to cover breaking news for the first time on site. I was there when the McAdoo and Jerry Reese got fired. So, obviously, it's not a good experience for the players. But I think as a journalist, these are the type of seasons and the type of stories that you want to cover and be a part of. So it's been interesting.
Last question. What advice would you give to other people who are trying to break into the industry?
I think my number one advice is to never limit yourself and to always bet on yourself. I truly believe that all of us, like no matter what your occupation is, no matter how old you are, whatever it is, I don't think any of us have limits. I think limits are a very kind of self-imposed restriction that we put on ourselves. I think that we can truly do anything that we want to do, but it's really just believing you can do it and not comparing yourself to other people that haven't done it, you know, saying, well, it wasn't easy for them, like maybe this is really hard, maybe I should take a different route. It's like no one else's path has anything to do with your path, and I think we tend to do that as humans, is like compare people's struggles to what we could anticipate being our struggles. And I just don't think that that's how life works. I think that if you're always saying that this isn't how it usually works, this is hard, then you're never going to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. So really just not limiting yourself and believing that whatever it is you want to do, you can do.